Let me read to you a passage from the first chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 1 to 18. It's the Gospel for the 7th day in the Octave of Christmas, December the 31st. I shall read only part of the passage because it is quite long. St. John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only begotten, God the one and only, who is at the Father's side, has made him known." That's from John chapter 1 verses 1 to 18, or rather part of it, because the passage is long, so I read just part. What does it suggest to us? Well, most religions seem to have an account of the beginnings, meaning by this an account of the beginnings of either the people who possess this account or of the world. The Australian Aborigines have their powerful dream time, and numerous other myths of the peoples could be cited. It seems to be one of the functions of religion that it provide this answer to what is a fundamental question. In this, religion has competed with science gradually supplanting the myths of religion and claiming authority to tell the whole story of the beginnings. And so it is that in the imagination of many people, science now occupies the chair of religion. In his Oxford University sermon of December the 1st, 1831, John Henry Newman spoke of the usurpations of reason. And much of his point is that this happens, this usurpation of reason, when reason strays beyond its own province. And it certainly pronounces beyond its competence when it claims to teach the whole story of the beginnings. The Big Bang, of course, does not account for the beginnings because the bang itself had to begin, and that required an ultimate, uncaused beginner of the bang. In any case, the bang does not account for the ontological insufficiency of the transient and limited being that is the world. Be all that as it may, revealed religion tells us of the ultimate beginnings. As the first verses of the book of Genesis reveal, God spoke and the world began. Just what exactly he did in the world and with the world, we leave to science to discover if they can. But the world began in time, and it began because of the act of the one Creator. Genesis teaches that were it not for God, there would be no world at all. Why then, is there not nothing? There is not nothing because God willed that there be something. He, the one without beginning, who is sustained in being by no other, began and sustains in being all that is other than he. But there is a further revelation, and it is set forth by St. John at the outset of his Gospel. The Word by which God brought all creation into being, the Word which he uttered to his servants the prophets, this Word was with God in the beginning. Whatever we choose to regard as the beginning, there the Word was with God. The Word did not begin, nor did God. At the beginning there was already the Word, and the Word was with God, and, surprise of surprises, the Word was God. At the outset of his Gospel, St. John begins forthwith to speak of the mystery of Most Holy Trinity. The one and only God is not just one and only person. the Word who became flesh, is also this one and only God. The Word becoming flesh and dwelling among us will reveal the person of the Holy Spirit, who will in turn glorify and bear witness to him and to the Father. Our Gospel passage today from John chapter 1 verses 1 to 18 is traditionally called the prologue of the Gospel of St. John, and it sets before us a grand panorama of the beginning of all that is, of time, and of the story of the redemption of the world. We are taken immediately to the heart of reality, as it has been for all eternity, and we are invited to accept the invitation to enter into communion with the great God, who has deigned to reveal himself to us. In simple strokes, like the gentle unfolding of a grand symphony, St. John tells us of the Word who will become the protagonist of the good news. It was through him that we and all else was made. In him is life, and that life is our light. It is a powerful light, and the darkness cannot comprehend it, nor can it master it. There is no other true light for man other than what is in him, so we must choose to regard him as our only way and our only truth. He is the light of the world, and the one who follows him walks in the light, while the one who rejects him walks forever in the darkness. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and it is this which we celebrate during the Christmas season. God became man, and he is the glory of God. And this glory has been seen by man. As the inspired author says, we saw his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. He brings to us the fullness of life, abundant life, and of his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. Let us contemplate the grand and lofty person of Jesus Christ, born a babe, an historical man for his brief span, dead on the cross, risen, and now present in all his fullness in his body, the church. He brings to us the fullness of grace and life and light, grace upon grace. He is our hope, and to him we must cleave. Let us then, with our hand in his, walk by his side as, not his servants, but his friends. I have not called you servants, but friends, he says. Let us tread his path, whatever be the cost of each day, for he will take us with him into glory.